I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement, getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, and Reader's Magnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on us authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, Reader's Magnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank Reader's Magnet and everybody that's involved. I love Reader's Magnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Hey there, Festival of Storytellers. I'm JOAB STIEGLITZ back again for the third time today. And today I was going to talk about the nature of my works, pulp adventure. So I have a little presentation on that. But first, let's look at the trailer again, because that's really, really nice. And here we go. And boom.
50 years ago, Jason Longborough never thought that he would be part of releasing an unimaginable horror. It's just a matter of time before this ancient evil starts destroying everything in its path. Time is not on his side. Jason needs to find a way to send this malign presence back where it belongs. Unknowingly, this dangerous mission would turn the world of 3 people upside down. And Jason knows well that only Dr. Anna Rykov, Dr. Harold Lamb, and Father Sean O'Malley have the knowledge and strength to banish this entity. They must perform that dangerous ritual one last time before it gets too late. And some might prevent them from saving everything that they believe and protect and meet their ultimate end.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. So, like I said, we're going to talk about pulp adventure today. So I'm going to fire this up. Here we are. Right. So I tell you, my stories are supernatural pulp adventure. And what that means is pulp fiction, aside from the Quentin Tarantino movie of that name, refers to short story anthologies that were published in the late 19th, early 20th century. Titles such as Adventure, Argosy, Weird Tales, Doc Savage, The Shadow. These were all examples of pulp magazines whose common element was the cheap paper they were written on, or they were used, that were published on, as well as the fantastic, often risque art and covers. And a lot of famous authors like Raymond Chandler, Robert Heinlein, Isaac Asimov, these folks all got started in pulps. So pulp adventures were full of heroic men, beautiful women, exotic locations, diabolical villains, mystery, intrigue, adventure. And the reason for that was people were becoming more literate in the early 20th century. And the introduction of radio, the cars, air transportation made the world smaller. Prior to that time, most people didn't move beyond maybe 50 miles from where they were born. But as transportation improved and such, people got more cosmopolitan. And through pulps, an increasing readership was able to experience that larger world. You can see here, visit England, Egypt, India, North Amazon and the river Amazon, or North Brazil River Amazon, visit Java, all these exotic locations that previously people had only heard of. Now, another aspect of pulp adventure that showed up in these magazines was the idea of cosmic horror. And my books are strongly influenced by what by cosmic horror as identified by H.P. Lovecraft, among others. And it deals with the unknown as opposed to traditional Gothic horror, man defying God. These refer to things that are beyond man's understanding. In the great universe, humanity is pretty insignificant in these tales. Cosmic horror includes themes of, situations beyond human understanding, extended periods of discovery that challenge the protagonists mentally or physically or both. And the entities often can be defeated, but they're not gone for good. They will return. Some examples are H.P. Lovecraft had a story called The Fungi from Yuggoth, which was about aliens coming to Earth from the 9th planet in the solar system. And coincidentally, shortly after it was published, the planet Pluto was discovered, in 1929. So that was, the kind of thing that people didn't anticipate and didn't expect, but they got. So, moving on, my stories take place in the Roaring '20s. The Roaring '20s were a time of great economic prosperity following World War I, and the United States isolated itself from the rest of the world pretty much. It was generally a time of exploration and experimentation with breaking traditions, embracing a bigger world. So because the United States isolated itself, among other reasons, this romantic notion of what the rest of the world was like grew. Primitive, quote unquote, art styles from the East, Africa, South America, all became very popular. Fashion and art imitated exotic styles with the eye makeup and the clothing. And Americans experimented with different cultures' foods, like Chinese food and such. Of course, a lot of Chinese food that we know came from San Francisco, but it's the thought that counts. All right. Any questions from anybody so far? Is there anybody out there? Well, I'll presume there are. So, back to here. And back to me. So, the Edgarda series is set in 1929 New York, and it involves the story of Anna Rykov, who is a Russian-American archaeologist, and as a female professional who could be a Bolshevik, she has trouble finding a job. So when a wealthy trustee of a small college offers her a post, she accepts. And she goes to Wellardsburg, a small town in upstate New York, where she meets Harold Lamb and Sean O'Malley, who are a doctor and a priest, respectively, also hired by the university as adjunct faculty. They become friends and they learn about their new town together. And a year later, the trustee, Mr. Longborough, on his deathbed, asks them to address an indiscretion from his youth that cost one man his head and another man his mind, or one man his life and the other man his mind. And the old man's request is the story of how the three of them do that. And through the course of the book, we discover that they are uniquely qualified to do that. The second book is called The Missing Medium. And that book involves them traveling to New York City, again in the summer of 1929, to speak with a spiritualist who Mr. Longborough had a conversation with before he died and had some profound revelation. But when they go to the city to find what was said, they discover that the medium is missing. Instead, they find monsters, gangsters, and cultists. And adventure ensues there. Ultimately, when they learn of the mystic's location, Anna must travel into the realm of the mystic's own imagination to rescue both him and herself in the other realm. So that is my first trilogy. And they came out, the first one came out in 2016, and the other two came out in 2018, in January and October, I think. And they're very well received. You can see over my shoulder here, Chris Ryan, who's an author of the book City of Woe. He rather liked it. Great story, well told, delivers and delivers and delivers. And then under him, Ron Fortier, who is an authority on what's called new pulp fiction, which is pulp writers, current writers writing pulp adventures, often using historical characters from the old magazines. He said it was a really well-crafted thriller. All right, so this is like all sorts of characters in your books. Missing medium is pretty interesting in the first. I'm not quite sure I understand the comment. This is like all sort of characters in your books. I guess that it seemed. All right. Yes, I'm back again. I'll be back again on Wednesday and Friday as well. Today we're talking about where the ideas come from in the background. So the missing medium. Well, the missing medium feeds from the first book. The trilogy is kind of like Star Wars. You know, Star Wars stood by itself, but then you had The Empire Strikes Back, and at the end of it, it says, "We'll see you in Return of the Jedi." You know, same kind of deal here. The Old Man's Request stands alone, but the other two books feed into each other. So I have another trilogy. This is called the Thule Trilogy. And that one consists of The Hunter in the Shadows, in which Anna goes to Boston in the winter of 1930. So it's right after the Depression hit, and people are dealing with not having things. And she goes to Boston at the behest of what turns out to be an alien entity to prevent the meeting of a German archaeologist and another alien entity, and prevent the coming catastrophe. And succeeding in preventing that meeting will cause the history as we know it, you know, with World War II and things like that. But if those two met, it would be even worse. And that one is followed by The Worlds I Know, in which Anna goes back to the realm of the mystic's imagination, but she finds herself in a modern version of it, and she sees the consequences of her previous visit. Let's see. What do you do on your free time when you're not writing? Well, writing is actually a sideline for me. I work for a software company as an application consultant, and then that's my day job. I'm also a notary public, so I supplement my income with that. And on top of all that, I'm also an active game master for role-playing games. Currently, we're playing Lamentations of the Flame Princess, though I have run Call of Cthulhu, Dungeon Crawl Classics, and a couple others. I also play in online games on the weekends. But I try to keep creative. I also have 2 dogs and a beautiful wife, and all that good stuff. Right. Regarding the third trilogy, I just finished the third book like 2 weeks ago. Taken a long time to come. It doesn't have a title yet because titles usually come right out at me, but this time it's not. But in lieu of the title, I do have the cover. And the cover looks like this. So that is the wraparound cover of book number 6, as yet untitled. So the right side would be the front cover, the left side is the back cover. And here you can see Anna and her colleagues. And that book wraps up the second trilogy as well as the what I have planned for Anna. After that, I'm going to move on to writing something else. Any other questions at this time? My games aren't inspired by online games. They're all tabletop role-playing games. Don't have any in the room with me. But I play Lamentations of the Flame Princess. This is the adventure we're currently running called Worlds of the Lost. And that is a fantasy game where, well, it's kind of cross-fantasy. It's got robots and dinosaurs and other things in it. But I've also run space games like Traveler and Stars Without Numbers is what I'm currently playing online. I play in a Stargate game based on the TV show every so often. But I am the game master for a regular Tuesday night game, actually. We play here at my house. And it's a lot of fun. However, the adventures, I should say, that these books were written on was based on a campaign I ran in the 90s. And I took copious notes. In fact, these are the notes. Yeah. A lot of stuff in here. And I just did that at the time because I thought I might write a book about it. I had been writing a book, a Tolkien-esque journey story, with different races and motivations. And the premise of that book was that nobody was good or bad. They just had different points of view. At least that's how it started. And I wrote about a quarter of it all at once, which actually was a short story. And then over time, I added to it here and there, when the muse hit me. And about 20 years and 300 pages later, I had an incoherent rambling that changed genre. The characters changed and personality and delivery, and it just didn't work. So I put it aside. I guess I cut my teeth on that because my next effort was The Old Man's Request, and that one flowed. In fact, the first trilogy all flowed out of that binder of notes I just showed you. And had it been written, last century, it might have been come out as one big fat book instead of 3 little ones. Any other questions we have? We've got about 10 more minutes. I enjoy writing, and the part I don't enjoy is actually marketing. That's the messy piece. Thanks to Reader's Magnet for helping me out with that. You can see my website trailing on the bottom of the screen there. Added benefit. If you go to my website, which is joabstiglitz.com, my first name, last name.com, and sign up for my Irregular Ranting, which is my newsletter, you'll get a link to download some short stories. And those short stories are unrelated to my books. and different genres and settings and things. I hope you enjoy them. Additionally, speaking of games, I ran a book about being a game master, or wrote a book about being an awesome game master, because my players seem to think that, and that one is available on the website as well. This is my third session today. I don't want to repeat myself. So anyone else have any questions you'd like to ask? All right. Well, the book is called The Old Man's Request. This is the first one in the Utgarda series, followed by The Missing Medium. There it is. The Missing Medium. And The Other Realm. If no one else has any questions, thank you for joining me, and I'll be back on Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Have a great evening.